This one changed my life. This is my experience with international travel restrictions, mild asthma, South Africa in 2012. Today is Thursday, 2 July 2026 AD, and here I, Tanis of Seattle, reflect on my experience traveling with international medical restrictions when I studied abroad in South Africa in 2012 in relation to my mild asthma. My study abroad was on a 6-month student visa, January 2012 to June 2012. So perhaps the biggest change in my running training was how I chose to adapt and subsequently adapted in response to international medical standards. I started training with myself as my coach in January 2006 and retained my purity in that space to this day. I've talked previously about the same study abroad experience in my wheat allergy and lactose intolerance. In this context, this one was a little bit different in terms of I did have an inhaler for my asthma, and this was the experience of my life where I learned to let go of the inhaler and treating my asthma with medicine. And I was and it was so traveling, and were there medical restrictions? Yes, and that medicine is the correct term in terms of having to procure paperwork or prescription for the inhaler, and then additional kind of work in South Africa. And I decided not to go that path, and there were other people I knew in South Africa who did decide to go the medical path in the country. And I was like, I thought about it. So there was decision making on, do I want to try treating my asthma without an inhaler, without medication? And I was running, and so asthma means like I need a little bit more oxygen. I struggle with breathing. I struggle with oxygen intake more than perhaps an average person, so to speak. So I love road running where there's a lot of trees, because trees produce oxygen, so there's a little bit more oxygen. So I changed my life, and I didn't actually go back to using an inhaler afterwards. So it did fundamentally change my life, because I had a really severe asthma attack and then was diagnosed with mild asthma, used an inhaler for, like a good decade kind of thing. And then was like, I'm going to try if it's even possible to do this without medication, survive asthma without medication. And sure enough, 14 years later, over 14.00 years later, because I got back in June 2012, and it's July 2026. It is possible. It took much more concentrated focus on my breathing, and like if I'm struggling breathing, what I need to do to accommodate the I need oxygen, and do I want to stop? No. Well, it's an art form, the art of war. No medicine. But it all started here. So I'd say it was a very much a decision-making experience. And then also, because I had mild asthma and because I was running, and I did talk about running with some of my cohort, it did come up of like, well, do you want stuff? And so it was like a continual decision making with me in charge, me as boss, me as coach. Am I doing the right thing? And I was a teenager at the time, so I didn't know, and I hadn't been told it was, strictly speaking, possible. So it was a self-improvement, a project of what I'm call for, like, my movie going currently, a self-choice. Being a soloist is really about, can I figure stuff out that like I would like to be able to figure out? So my self-choice here is a self-choice not to medicate, which I didn't reiterated with my ADHD medicine. I took and I improved. I used the medicine for less time. So this one was self-improvement, self-choice project that had positive legacy elsewhere in the medication space as well. So that's my experience with international travel restrictions, mild asthma, South Africa in 2012.